Joining me now is Adam Mount, Senior Fellow with the Center for American Progress. Adam, welcome.
Thank you.
President Trump says we'll see what happens on North Korea. What do you think the U.S. can and should do?
We'll see what happens is not a very confidence-inspiring statement, is it? Essentially, this administration is trying to repeal and replace President Obama's strategy of strategic patience. Now, the risk is replacement is easier said than done. And so the risk is if you don't have a solid strategy, you might do something like you might have a policy that is not patient, and it's also not strategic. This administration has sent a number of contradictory signals on North Korea. For example, they've said that all options are on the table, but then H.R. McMaster seemed to take the military option off the table. Mike Pence went to South Korea and said that he stands behind our alliances, but then on his way out of town seemed to throw an elbow at the Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement, which is an important part of that alliance. And now this news about the USS Carl Vinson, the carrier group sent to the Korean Peninsula, could look like an empty threat. So this administration really needs to start reading from the same page, or else North Korea might conclude that they have no strategy and that they're free to do what they want.
But Adam, looking at the options here, is there military action the U.S. could take that does not escalate the situation?
All military action is a risky proposition in North Korea. But for example, there are military steps that could be useful in interdicting cargo in and around the peninsula. That's an important step that can restrict North Korea's illicit activity that brings crime and instability around the region. Military options need to remain on the table in terms of deterrence. Deterrence is the first priority. It is what U.S. forces Korea and the South Koreans wake up every morning ready to do. They're ready to fight tonight. And maintenance of deterrence is it's the first priority, and it's something that this administration needs to start messaging consistently. We'll see what happens is not good enough. There needs to be a very clear and very strong signal about precisely what the North Koreans should expect to happen if they aggress against allied forces.
Well, the president has accused previous administrations of being outplayed by North Korea. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, military pressure alone is not going to be sufficient to solve this problem. There's no number of carrier strike groups that you can send to the waters around the peninsula that's going to be sufficient to make Kim Jong-un wake up one morning and think that he wants to eliminate his nuclear arsenal. Military pressure needs to be coupled with some sort of engagement strategy. And in fact, that's the bumper sticker That's the bumper sticker slogan for this administration's North Korea policy. It's maximum pressure and maximum engagement. So we need to hear more about the engagement. President Trump's inflexibility with respect to the North Korea deals of the past and also the Iran deal that was concluded recently is not going to serve him well. It would take very tough, very focused, and diplomacy in order to come to some sort of comprehensive solution. And quite frankly, the price of restricting North Korea's nuclear program has risen as their capabilities have continued to develop. So we need to be prepared to offer some significant concessions in return for some significant steps with North Korea.
Adam, I want to play some of what Vice President Mike Pence said in Japan. Take a listen.
Under President Trump, the United States will continue to work with Japan and with all our allies in the region, including South Korea, to confront the most ominous threat posing this region of the world, the regime in North Korea. And let me be clear, our commitment is unwavering, and our resolve could not be stronger.
Can we support our allies in the region without direct involvement?
Well, we are directly involved in the region. There are tens of thousands U.S. forces stationed on Japan and 28,500 American men and women in uniform that are stationed on the Korean Peninsula. So we are involved. If there is an attack against South Korea, U.S. forces stand ready to defend its ally, and that has to continue. So we are involved whether we like it or not.
Let's talk about China. The president has reversed himself when it comes to trade and labeling China a currency manipulator. Do you see this pressure on China over North Korea working? And what's at stake for China in all of this?
Excellent question. This administration has been clear that it's working with China. They've said that those relationships are constructive and the meetings have been constructive. On the other hand, they can't trust China to solve this problem for us. China's interests in the region remain their own. They're concerned first and foremost with stability of the region, and they're concerned. There are people in China that continue to think of North Korea as a buffer against American power in the region. But China is of two minds. At the same time, there are people that think of North Korea as securing stability in the region. There are some that see North Korea as a threat to the stability of the region. And so encouraging this transition in how China thinks about North Korea ought to be the top priority of this administration in dealing with China. But at the same time, we can't trust them to do the work for us. We need to be prepared to act alone.
A complex situation for all of the nations involved. Adam Mount with the Center for American Progress, thank you so much.
Thank you.